Guys, my neighbors had been fucking plowing snow right outside my goddamn window for the last 3 hours. They finally stopped, which means it's finally quiet enough for me to record. Holy shit. This video is very stupid and you should probably not listen to it as the sample size is just one myself. I'm just drawing from my own experiences or of experiences people around me, my close friends and stuff. So everything I say here is really stupid, but I'm gonna say it anyway. As with anything decent in life, it starts with you first. And I think the best example I can give without making people feel bad or feel too good about themselves is getting a job. Like, you don't need to be Einstein 2.0 to be able to get a job. You don't need to be the smartest, most perfect person in the universe, but you do need to hit some basic minimum requirements before you can start blaming the job market, right? Before you can start not feeling horrible if you apply for a job and they reject you. After getting that job rejection, you should not immediately feel that you're just the worst unhireable motherfucker in the world. You're just like born unemployed, right? I feel a healthy way to take rejection from a job is to think, yeah, maybe my application and qualifications could have been better, but they probably overhired too. They're replacing humans with clankers, and maybe my application never even made it to a human. Like, you need to be able to see both sides, right? Let me relate it to your love life, because one of the worst things a person can have if they're serious about finding a partner is having a crush, because a crush is nothing but the biggest waste of time. And you probably already know that, you know, burning your months away fantasizing about this one person when you barely even know them, but in your head you've already had 2 kids together. Well, why don't people approach their crushes and just tell it to them, right? Speaking from experience, a lot of it just comes with projecting your own insecurities onto the other person, and that can come back to you in the form of fear of rejection, fear of making a fool out of yourself, fear of making the other person feel bad or burdened by your confession of love or whatever. But as I've grown older and I look back at my life, a lot of times that fear just comes because I was so not confident in myself, like borderline hated myself. Like, if I looked at myself in the mirror, I would be like damn sure that I would not date myself. And because if I wouldn't go out with myself, why would anyone else, right? And even if that simple concept wasn't as clear back then in my head, subconsciously I knew it. Which is why a lot of times it is so hard just to walk up to someone and just to say some simple words like, hey, I think you're attractive. What are you doing this Saturday? Do you want to go on a date? Do you want to hang out? What's up? Like, I know kids call it Riz and it's really funny, but Riz is just a slang for charisma, and charisma doesn't come from your good looks or having big biceps. A lot of the times charisma just comes from your personality, and that personality, that charisma, that confidence, yeah, it's easy to say that, oh, you just be confident, but what makes one confident is when you don't absolutely hate yourself. Like, yeah, you don't have to love yourself like a narcissist, but you should be able to tolerate yourself or find some positive qualities about yourself that you really like. Relating it back to my job analogy, you know, when you get rejected from a job, you still know that maybe you have a degree. You know you have a degree. Yeah, you might not have the best grades, but you have decent grades. You know you're not the top dog, but you are good enough, which makes you believe that, hey, if you're not gonna get hired at this firm, that doesn't mean that you're unhireable. Someone else, some other company, some other job is out there for you that is gonna hire you eventually. You just gotta keep looking. So why can't we feel like that about our love life, right? Again, going back, crushes are such a waste of time, because the more you let that crush marinate, the harder it will be to come out in the end and ask that person out. I mean, this is the reason why a lot of these video game companies fumble these days. A lot of times video games have been in development for so fucking long that at that point the hype and anticipation that it has built up has been so bad and so much that no matter what they deliver, it will be underwhelming. That's what happened with Cyberpunk 2077. That's what a big fear was for Hollow Knight Silksong. And because a lot of my subscribers are Silksong players, if you guys remember, that was a big fear, that will Team Cherry even be able to meet the expectations that they have themselves built by being silent for years and years. It's the same like that in one's love life, right? The longer you have that crush on someone, the more anxiety you build up, the more you fumble to even speak in front of them, and the longer that goes on, the higher the chances are you're not gonna be able to just tell them. And if you do tell them, at that point, they probably know you, especially if they're a classmate, if they're your friend, if there's someone in school, and they already know they don't have those feelings for you. Which is another point I want to talk about, is the fantasy of being friends with someone and then going on dates and then eventually falling in love is a big fucking lie. And that's the biggest lie I used to believe when I was 14. And oh my god, I cringe so much when I think about that time in my life. I was such a firm believer that to date someone, you need to be friends with them first. That is wrong, especially in your teenage years. When you're a teenager or a young adult, no one has that kind of nuance in their life. People will take one look at you or talk to you once and immediately realize if they like you or not, if there's a spark there or not. Because a lot of times people have this fear that if they confess their feelings to a friend, they're gonna ruin the friendship. That is the biggest lie you're telling yourself, because there is no friendship. You really like this person. If you're not with them romantically, you're never gonna be satisfied. If you see them get in a relationship with someone else, it's gonna break your heart and ruin that friendship anyway. You gotta ask yourself, do you wanna be friends with this person? Because chances are they don't like you. And if your answer is yes, I still value the friendship, then the best thing you can do for your friendship is rip that band-aid and just tell them how you feel, and they're most likely gonna say they don't feel about you that way. And then that's done, and then you can both decide to mutually move on from it and stay friends. And once you get that off your chest and that anticipation in your head goes away that, oh, there's still a slight chance that they might say yes if I just play my cards right, if I just, engineer this perfect opportunity to confess, they might just say yes. Once that goes away and you're over it, I guarantee you it's going to be much easier to be friends with them if that was okay with you to begin with. If not, you'll have your answer anyway and you will move on from that friendship instead of wasting your time and the other person's time. Like I said, crushes are a big waste of time. And this is why being self-aware is so important, because look, no one lives on the extremes. Regardless of what the Twitter might tell you, people are not so extreme in real life. No one is super shallow or super deep. Most people are just average people trying to get by just like you. So you need to have some sort of self-awareness. A lot of times someone is self-aware of what they're insecure about. Like when I was younger, it sounds really silly. Again, I was 14 years old. I was really insecure about my hair and my glasses. I hated having glasses and I hated my dumbass hair, and I knew I looked bad and it was the biggest source of insecurity for me. But the thing is, I was aware about it, and I would write it in my New Year's resolution every year that, oh, I'm gonna get a new haircut and I'm gonna get new pairs of glasses, something that'll make me feel better about myself. Like, that is good first step, I guess. It took me fucking years to get around to something that I don't hate, but it is what it is. I'm stupid. But there's also the other side of that shit coin, where a lot of times you just think there's nothing wrong with you and all the other people just seem to reject you or not want to be with you. It must be them. That is the category of r/nice guys. You know those weirdos on Reddit that we make fun of on this channel sometimes? That's how that mindset cultivates, is when you don't have self-awareness or friends around you to tell you that, hey dude, maybe you're coming off weird, maybe you lack social skills, maybe, I don't know, maybe you just smell bad. So I guess having some sort of self-awareness or having good friends around you to tell you, who can be honest with you on how you can improve yourself as a person and feel a little bit more confident about yourself, a little bit less shitty every time you think about yourself, that could go a long way. And not just in dating, but just in general, you know what I mean? Like, I guess once people realize that having crushes for a long time is bad, being rejected is okay, because not everybody is for everybody and someone else is out there for you. Once you get through these things and you practice a little bit, I feel like you'll be alright, more or less. Think about it this way: if there is someone out there for you who is the right fit for you, who likes you for who you are, and you like them for who they are, let's say you have this one crush and you've had this crush forever, if that person is not for you, you're only delaying your eventual relationship. If you were meant to meet someone else, you're just delaying that by not confessing to this person and dragging this out. I also want to talk about the other side of that coin, because a lot of times it's not as easy as just confessing to someone, and I've been a victim of that too. I'm not gonna go into details, but a lot of times people are not that kind. You know the stupid saying, the worst she can say is no? I feel like that's the best she can say, a best he can say, a best anyone can tell you is a straight up answer that no, I am not interested in you and I hope you find someone else. That is a blessing, because a lot of times what people do is they love the attention. They love that you like them. They love that you pursue them. They're probably already aware that you have a crush on on them, and they really enjoy it. It feeds their ego, it makes them feel good about themselves, and they basically use you as a confidence boost. You need to cut those people out. People who don't directly say no to you, but also don't say yes. People who are emotionally unavailable. Basically, when you put yourself out there, they retreat back into their hidey hole, right? They run away from you. They close off. And when you feel horrible about it and you retreat back and you try to focus on yourself, they come crawling back for your attention and then pull you back into this toxic cycle. You need to learn to identify that you are in that cycle and break it. A lot of these analogies are similar to ripping a band-aid. It's gonna be a bitch at the start, but you will thank yourself in the long run. Facing rejection, cutting out toxic people, things like that. It hurts. It definitely does, and it's not easy. If it was, most of the people wouldn't be struggling with it. But once you realize that that's a thing that you can control and it's in your hands to control, you will just feel better about your own life, having more control over it. Alongside working on your insecurities, you can also work on bad habits. Maybe you are chronically online. I feel like in today's day and age, that should be a big personal check everyone should do. Like, if you're confused, where should I start in self-evaluation? The first question everyone should ask is, am I chronically online? Because if you are, that is a very, very fantastic place to start when it comes to self-improvement. I'm not saying get off Discord and immediately go be a social butterfly. That's not how that works. But if you do get off Discord and pick up some other hobby in the real world, that might help you direct yourself into the real world more, help you meet people that way. I'm not gonna sit here and preach to you about, is meeting people online bad? Everyone is different. Look, I met the love of my life on Hinge. And yet, if you ask me my opinions on dating apps, I'd probably tell you that they fucking suck. So there's no one right answer to it. I think just the end of the day, don't obsess over any one of them. Like, yeah, it's okay to have an online dating profile, but then that shouldn't just be the only thing you're doing is just scrolling nonstop on Tinder. Because you gotta know, these websites and apps, they're designed to keep you on them forever and keep spending money. They're not designed to help you find love, because if you did, then you wouldn't be on that app, which is counterproductive for the corporation. Again, that doesn't mean that it can't work. It's just nothing should be the one-all be-all in your life. Not a person, not a crush, not a dating app. Don't put your eggs in one basket. The only basket that you should be putting all your eggs in, if it comes to it, is yourself. Yeah, like everything in life, I wish it was easy, but it is just a little bit nuanced. You know, have confidence, but also realize your own flaws. And once you do that, you'll be a little less afraid in confessing your feelings to someone, and a little bit more brave and stronger in facing that rejection. I'll tell you something really, really embarrassing about myself. So when I got to college, I had bad social anxiety, like really bad, and I just had no confidence in myself. I was in an awful place. And my college roommate, he was a party kid. He was a fucking party freak. This guy would party every single night. I don't know how he did it. And he always wanted to drag me along. And like one time I was like, sure, I'll do it. And I went with like no expectations in my head. I wasn't going there to like hook up or anything. I was just like, man, you know what? Because I'm not expecting anything out of this, and I'm probably never gonna see these people again because I don't fucking know any of them. I'm gonna practice talking to women. It's really fucking stupid. But I would go to a party and I would just like see a group of girls or like whatever, and I would just, I don't know, waddle my ass out to them and just strike a conversation. And funny enough, 9 out of 10 times, it just worked out so normally that it surprised me every single time. I don't know why in my head I expected them to laugh at me or something, or make a joke and walk away. And sometimes that would happen where they would just not be interested in talking. But most of the times, especially if it's a group of people you're approaching, they don't immediately assume that you're there to hit on anyone, especially if you don't act like it. And if you're just there talking to people, people talk back, you know, human beings are social creatures. That helped me a lot, build up confidence in just talking and approaching people, I guess. And I guess lastly, if I can find someone, you can too. I mean, come on. I'm a fucking YouTuber. This video probably makes no fucking sense.